Good day, everybody. This is E. Marcel too. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Inquirer Show. We're recording on May 25th, 2021. Hope all is well with you in the world. Not today's broadcast. We'll recap Atlanta United's 1-1 draw at Seattle. Atlanta United, too, has a record-setting performance in their last contest. We'll delve into that. We'll also go over the NBA playoffs and things going on there. Miscellaneous Department, another record setting opportunity in the world of professional sports, takes place for a legendary golfer. And we'll also go into the technical state of Georgia athletics. Georgia State baseball opens up the Sun Belt Conference tournament play today. And I have information, or I was able to speak with head coach Brad Stromdahl before the competition. As always, if you want to follow everything that we're doing, you can head to the mothership, thesportsinquirer.net, premier site for the news and notes in the world of sports. If you head to the site right now, you'll be able to see many things, including that interview or talk with Brad Stromdahl, also our exclusive interviews with Atlanta United 2 manager Tony Annan and Atlanta United 2 player Aiden McFadden. And we also just posted today our interview, our oppressor, our conversation with Josh Smith, the all Sun Belt Conference performer for Georgia State baseball. So make sure you head to the site and get all of that information. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook under Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. And then finally, you can head to our audio and video content providers, including SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes, to get the latest on everything that we do. Every time we do a post or comment during contests, I've been doing that quite a bit during the NBA playoffs and everything in between. You can just follow us on those platforms and you'll get it right to you. Let's start with the original free kick and delve into Atlanta United, who earned a solid 1-1 draw against Seattle Sounders this past Sunday. Josef Martinez scored his second goal of the season on a penalty kick conversion on the 86th minute to get the 1-1 draw. Atlanta held Seattle to only 2 shots on target in the contest, and actually the draw extended Atlanta's unbeaten streak to 3 consecutive matches. Seattle did open up the scoring in the 6th minute through Ruiz, who had his I think sixth goal of the season, and a really good situation from him. Paolo delivered a swinging corner kick, and Ruiz was at the edge of the 6-yard box in the penalty area, and he was able to head the cross into the top right corner of the net to give Atlanta the 1-0 lead. Oh, we have Seattle, excuse me, the 1-0 margin. It just highlighted again the struggles that Atlanta has had defending set pieces. They've given up multiple set piece goals this season, and this was another one. Here is captain and goalkeeper Brad Guzan on the team defending these set pieces.
I mean, listen, it's down to responsibility. You know, Brooks came up to me, put his hand up, but at the same time, like 9 times out of 10, I expect him to defend that and challenge the cross and win the cross. But at the same, he's gone and then got us a penalty. So it's like, it is what it is. That's part of professional sports. Mistakes happen. It's how you respond to those mistakes. And he was fantastic for us. And so I said to him, it's not about that. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about your ability to get forward and help us earn the penalty and get a huge result in a tough place to play. It's not about one guy and this and that. It's about all of us sticking together, creating this understanding of what we're trying to do when we have the ball, when we don't have the ball. And listen, mistakes are going to happen. It's part of the game, and it's how you respond. And you want to talk about statistics. You talking about before the game, what happens when we concede a goal on the road and what that record looks like. So we're able to chalk this one up into a positive result for us. And
now Atlanta did control possession a good amount in the first half. They had 65% of possession there, and they did have 2 chances in that first half. 37th minute, Josef Martinez had a long-range shot just over the crossbar in the 37th minute. A few minutes later, Miles Robinson headed a corner kick that was from Brooks Lennon, and it was required a diving save by Stephen Cleveland for Seattle. So Atlanta was getting some offensive opportunities and pushing the effort, and they were able to get possession in the second half quite a bit as well. And the breakthrough moment for them was in that late in the contest in the 86th minute when Brooks Lennon drew a penalty in the penalty area when he drove down the right flank and into the box, and he was taken down by Seattle defender or Seattle player Brad Smith. The Martinez was able to step up, and actually, let's hear Brad Guzan on the setup of that penalty kick for Atlanta, which saw a nice play with Miles Robinson able to get the ball to Lennon and get the offense going. Here is Guzan on that penalty kick setup.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, he's grown as a player. His ability on the ball has certainly gotten better. But with that being said, we're constantly asking the question of each other to be better. There's still times when not just him, but all of us we're careless with the ball. We don't take care of it enough. And so for as good as the pass was for the goal, there's certainly other moments within the game where, we'll look back and be critical of ourselves, of how we get better. So it's a good ball. I don't think at times we ask the question of the opposition's back line to turn and face their own goal and defend. And when you do that, you create good things. And Brooks makes a great run, gets on the end of it, and the guy catches them. It's last minute defending from them. And I think, if you speak to their guys, I'm sure they're going to be disappointed with conceding a goal so late in the game. But from our point of view, it was great.
Yeah, Martinez was able to step up and take that penalty kick. He went to the left corner with the shot. It went in, had a nice stare down into the Seattle supporters area, and it was Martinez's second goal of the season, and it made the score 1-1, and that was the final. Here is Josef Martinez on the result.
I think so, but it's hard to say because every game is hard because we don't create a lot of chance. Probably going better, probably not. But if we don't create chance and we don't make score, I don't know what to say. So it's important. We have a 1 point away against the amazing team, and we'll see what happens in the next game.
Yeah, and something that is unique to soccer compared to other sports that a lot of sports we watch is it's about wins and losses. And obviously, if you win the contest, that's a good thing. And if you lose the contest, that's not as good of a thing. And if you live in that world for many sports, and we comprehend that. So when you hear about a draw and only getting a point, 1 point for a draw, and compared to getting 3 points for a win, you're thinking, well, that was a disappointing performance. But getting a draw and getting a result is usually another term that you hear a lot with soccer. It was a good situation for Atlanta. Now here's Brad Guzan elaborating on it, and then I'll have my thoughts on why it was important.
100%. And we pushed and we probed, and we fully deserved at least a point today. Our work rate was phenomenal. It was never going to be an easy game. Seattle's obviously a very good team. To travel out here, a few knocks that we have within the group, to show the resilience, to keep fighting, and ultimately earn the penalty. Fantastic.
And I think you have to look at also at how you get that point. If it was reversed, if Atlanta scored a goal early in the contest and Seattle was able to get a goal in the 86th minute, was that a good? It's still the same. It's still a draw. It's still 1 point. Is a good result? Maybe not necessarily, but the fact that Atlanta went to Seattle, one of the toughest places to play in all of Major League Soccer, against a Seattle team that is right near the top of the standings in the Western Conference, to go all the way there and to get a point, and that's very important. And now it wasn't a goal in the flow of play, so that people want to see more of that, but still, good job by Lennon drawing the penalty, Martinez obviously for converting, and you come home with a point. So right now, Atlanta sits in third place in the Eastern Conference. They're 5 points behind New England, but they do have a game at hand very, very early in the season. A lot more soccer to take place. So as I said, you want to get wins, and Atlanta is starting to get some draws. Remember, they drew at Orlando City, and things like that. You want to get some more wins on your docket for sure. But they are in a solid place in the Eastern Conference. So let's see, they lost only one road game this season. They've lost one, they've drawn three, and have not had a road win yet. They'll have plenty of chances to improve on that. But still, you have to acknowledge that it was a draw and it wasn't a loss. Anton Walks had a game high 10 recoveries. Santiago Sosa had a game high 88 touches. He has continued to implement himself into the flow of the game and doing a very solid job there. Franco Ibarra had a solid defensive game, 6 tackles, 2 clearances, 4 interceptions, all teams highs in the contest. And here is Gabriel Heinze and what he liked from Atlanta in the performance.
Sí, por supuesto, me encanta hablar de fútbol y lo invito si quiere hablar de fútbol.
Yes, of course, I love to talk about football and I invite you to talk with me about it.
Lo que me ha gustado es absolutamente toda la construcción que hicimos en campo propio.
Like what I really like is how we build up from the back.
Me ha gustado un montón hasta llevar el balón a zona final.
Like how the transition from the first zone to the last zone.
Que esos metros debemos todavía entrenarlo más y tener más situaciones.
There's something we need to keep improving is this final third to create even more chances.
Y también me ha gustado de cuando el rival ha jugado hemos estado muy cerca del rival.
And also I like when the opponent had the ball, like how close we were close to them.
Y eso es lo que me gusta a mí hablar.
This is what I really like to talk about.
And Atlanta has one more match in MLS play. They host Nashville on May 29th before they take about a month off due to FIFA tournament endeavors. So the league is going to take about 3-4 weeks off before they return to play so that you can get a lot of things going. Not only do you have your Euros, you have a lot of CONCACAF events and things around the world. So it'd be very nice for Atlanta to get a win at home against a pretty solid Nashville team in their second year of existence before they go to the break. We'll have plenty on that and previewing that contest on our next show. Atlanta United, too, had a really solid week of action for them. Earlier in the week, they won 5-0 against earlier in the week in a contest, and they drew Memphis 901 FC 2-2 this past Sunday at Fifth Third Bank. Aiden McFadden had 2 goals in the contest, and that's the second straight match that he had a brace. And so a very big offensive performance for him. Robbie Mertz made his Atlanta United 2 debut, as well. So a lot going on there. McFadden put Atlanta on the scoreboard in the 28th minute. He was able to put in a free kick from about 25 yards out. Matias Benitez, got to give credit to him. He drew the foul that led to the free kick opportunity, and McFadden was able to hit a nice shot off of his right foot in the top left corner. Now, John Berner, the keeper for Memphis, was able to touch the ball, but the shot was pretty strong and it went past his hands or through his hands, and that was the 1-0 lead for Atlanta United 2. Memphis did even a score in the 45th minute on a Kadeem Darcy's goal, and that was so it was tied heading into halftime. Atlanta they did concede a goal in the second half to go down 2-1. Laurent Kissendu, if his name sounds familiar to you Atlanta United supporters, he used to play for Atlanta United too and was a youth prospect for Atlanta. So he came back to Kennesaw and hurt his former team with that goal in the 73rd minute. However, Atlanta was able to tie the score in the 3rd minute of stoppage time on McFadden's second goal of the contest. He was able to hammer home a volley with his right foot, I said, in that 3rd minute of extra time to tie the score at 2-2. I was able to catch up with Aiden McFadden exclusively for an interview about the contest and all things related to it. And here it is.
Aiden, another 2 goals. You had a really good week. Just just take to today. Scoring these 2 goals. Just what does that mean for you as you progress through your career and getting acclimated to Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean it's good. Free kicks. That's something that I like to take. We got one in a dangerous space early, and I didn't get to take it, so I really wanted the next one. I stepped up and put it in a good spot. Probably could have used more pace, but in a good spot, so it went home. I was happy with that. And then, yeah, the last one, just honestly, I felt like I didn't have a great game. I'm a player that kind of prides myself on connecting passes, dictating games, and it just wasn't there for me today. But, you know, the only thing you can really control on a day like that is keep working, keep getting up and down. So, man down, I just got in the box, ball came to me, and put it on frame. So it wasn't great, but at the end of the day, we got out of there with a point. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that second goal, what was your position? Did you have a feeling that if you in that middle area would be open? What was just your approach when you were when they were going towards that final sequence?
Yeah, the ball went out right, and I was playing, I guess, left back at the time, and just trying to get to the back post, and he took him inside. And I realized I wasn't going to get on the first ball, so I just kind of peeled out a bit and deflected and came to me. It's a bit fortunate, but again, that's why you get in the box. Good things happen when you're in that area.
You mentioned not the best performance for you and everything like that, but still the team on the hottest day of the year, playing your third match in a 7-day span, able to emerge with a point. What does that say about the team and just its progression?
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't here last year, but these are guys that work very hard, and we all are very good players that want to win. So we're working towards that. We all are going to look back on this game with a lot of things to improve on. But, you know, to get out of here with a point is good, but we all have more to show. So we're going to keep working and try and make it better.
Yeah, and this would be my last thing. What does that entail? Is that more time on the practice pitch? Is that maybe looking at more film? Just how do you spend the next few days just getting ready for your next contest?
Well, the first thing is recovery. I mean, we've just come through a grueling week, so get our legs back under us, and then, yeah, just keep working on zipping the ball around, try and control the possession, and then it's just going to have to be a bit cleaner going forward, creating more chances and doing more with the chances that we have. I think we get in good areas, and then we kind of miss the last pass, miss the last cross, make the wrong decision, too many touches here and there. But those are things that we can do better on, and I've seen us do much better in practice. So I'm excited for the rest of the year. I think we have a lot of room to improve, but I see it. I think it's something that's very achievable.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
I was also able to speak with manager Tony Annan about the contest and everything that was involved in it as well.
Go. All right. Excellent. Well, Coach, just overall thoughts on the game. It was a very hot day, back and forth affair. Just overall impressions of the team's performance.
I thought we were okay the first half. Not great, but to be expected with 3 games in a week on the hottest day of the year so far. I knew it was going to be difficult. They really worked hard. They looked like a team that were, clawing for points. So they really outworked us a little bit. But I thought the guys came out second half and put in a decent performance, considering the circumstances of 3 games in a week.
Yeah, just what about Aiden McFadden, especially that second goal on that volley? Just what about this week and how big that's been just for him, not only for his time in Atlanta United, but just his development of his career?
Yeah, I mean, look, Aiden's one of the bright sparks for us at the moment, and hopefully he continues to develop. And he continues to keep moving forward and push himself towards the first team. He's a bright guy. He's got a lot of talent. He's got some tidying up to do, but what an engine. I mean, he was up and down from start to finish, so I couldn't be any happier with Aiden and what he's doing right now.
Yeah. Well, how big was the just having these 3 games in a week, the temperatures outside, just what does that show the resolve of the team, though, just to be able to come out with some points or a point despite all of the adversity they face?
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it last week as well. This year we've The guys that are playing, who played last year, have got more experience. They've got more resolve. They've got a bit more resilience about them. You know, they didn't fold. They kept working. And they got a point at the end of the game. I don't think last year we'd have got out of that situation. We were 10 men, you know, and we managed to get a goal against 11 men in the, like I said, in the hottest day of the year. And that's massive character, massive fight for our team.
The team's in the midst of your homestand right now. You've been able to play a few contests in Atlanta. Where do you think the team is right now? Just a general assessment of where the team is, just where they're going towards, where you want them to be.
You know, I think I've said it before. It's tough because we don't get to train every day together like we did last year, which doesn't hold us back. I think our press is clear, our build is clear, our transitions are clear. I'm happy with where they are at the moment. They reacted really well today to me getting annoyed for the first time, you know, and I got a good reaction out of the guys, and I'm happy where they are. And I think they are too. I think they feel good about their team and good about their performances.
So that was a really good week for Atlanta United too. They started the week on the previous Sunday with a results at Memphis. And then they had, and then they were able to defeat Tulsa 5-0 in the at home later on in the week. First time that they have won by 5 goals in a contest, and that 5 goals I think tied a record for most in a contest. And the 2-2 draw, as I said, this past Sunday against Memphis. So the team is drawing results, staying on the top half of the Central Division standings, and doing a solid job of getting young players involved. McFadden has been a revelation, obviously scoring. We have 2 consecutive braces, but it's been a really good run so far for Atlanta United too. They return to action on May 30th against Birmingham Legion, so we'll be keeping track of everything going on there. Let's move on to a technical state of Georgia athletics. And the Panthers of Georgia State baseball are about to start the Sun Belt tournament in a few hours. They're playing in a kind of a round robin tournament. It's kind of one of those pool play deals. So in essence, they're going to play at least 2 contests. They play Louisiana Monroe today, and I think they have another opponent tomorrow. But anyway, we were able to catch up with head coach Brad Stromdahl about the form of the team at this portion of the year and preparing for that conference tournament. So here is head coach of the Georgia State Panthers baseball team, Brad Stromdahl.
All right, well, Coach, this is Marcel Patuta, Sports Inquirer. Thanks for speaking with me and others. We'll go over the Texas State sweep, first conference sweep in 3 years and first one on the road since 2015. Just what did you take away from that series as you get towards the home stretch of conference play?
I mean, it was it was a tremendous effort on all sides of the ball, and we've had such a tough road the last 3 months that it's so good, and I feel so good for our guys and our players that they're putting forth all of this effort, and we're finally getting the results that we think that every day we go out and we can get. And so we had absolutely great pitching performances from the older guys, and Brian Watson and Tyler Cook and Seth Clark, and we really did a good job of answering the bell when it came offensively with Josh Smith and Griffin Chaney, and just kind of the older guys are saying, okay, you know what, we know where we're at, where we're going, and what we're doing. And so just to be able to win 3 games there was a really good validation of where we're going and what we're trying to do. And it's exciting for us, especially if we can continue the momentum going into Little Rock and then going into the tournament. We can be hot at the right times, and we can beat anybody in the country. Yeah, no, absolutely. I definitely think that there is something to the fact that we have played the best schedule non-conference in the country. We have played at the toughest schools against the top 25 teams and the best teams in the country. And we've gone up against kids that are 18 to 22, 23-year-old. And we're not scared of anything. And so,
it's a matter of belief and execution. And so when we look at the things that we're able to do over the next, what we've been doing, and then we'll continue to do, we can execute, we can play with anybody in the country. And so just kind of going to your point of, like what makes this kind of stand out, even though your record's not very good, is the fact that we're not scared of anybody. We're ready to play. We know how to play. We know how to execute. And then it's a matter of just getting a big hit like Josh Smith did this weekend. It's having a gutsy pitching performance like Ryan Watson and Seth Clark and Tyler Cook. And it's being able to do the things that we know we can do and kind of put it together when it's both offense and defense and pitching. And so, that kind of culminated this weekend, and hopefully we can continue to grow those attributes of this amazing team going into the next couple weekends.
Yeah, elaborate on Josh Smith, multiple Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week. What about his development just throughout this season and what he's contributed to the team?
Well, it's funny you asked that. I was on an interview this morning, and they kind of asked a similar question. And, it's a matter of, Josh was here before we got here as a staff. And then we had the shortened COVID season last year where we were only able to play 16 games. And then, we move and morph into this year. And, it's not necessarily everything that has happened on the field, because he's become a better base runner. He's become a better hitter. He's become a better defender. He backs up bases. He does all of the things on the field, but who he is as a teammate, who he is off the field, how he's really matured in his life outside of baseball, I think is one of the main reasons why he's been able to be so focused and so good on the field, is because it's a maturation process for him. And he is just becoming much more mature and more mature. And so as we move into, this year in Texas State, he led us, Little Rock, he's going to lead us this conference tournament. Hopefully he has a chance to get drafted. But either way, I think that the biggest testament to him is how he's kind of changed his life and his mental outlook and how he goes about his business. And, we're so fortunate to be able to have him here at Georgia State. And I'm so happy to be able to coach him and to have him lead us on the field in those things that, aren't necessarily show up in the score box every day. Is that's what makes him so special. And so, I'm also happy that he can hit some home runs too, because that kind of helps us too.
But what is one thing particularly you just really, really would love to see?
Yeah, I'd love to see the same level of confidence that we had this last weekend. I think that, we gave up some runs, we gave up some hits, we struck out a little bit, but we never lost or wavered in what we were going to do. And we were going to go to Texas State and take the flights and stay in the hotel and do the travel. We were going to win all 3 games. And I think that's what I would like them to take, because the X's and the O's and the execution, like all of that can come. But if you don't have the belief that you're just going to absolutely go out there and sweep them, and even if we're down 2 or 3 late, like have that mentality that we're going to win no matter what. And we're just going to take it pitch to pitch and not try to do too much. And we did a really good job of that this weekend. And I think that, if we can carry that into next weekend and then into Montgomery, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, Coach, last question for me. Looking at the conference, only 5 teams have winning records in conference play. What have you just seen from this conference and so much balance? There hasn't been that one dominant team that's, nationally ranked or just really taking over. What do you, just looking at the landscape of the Sun Belt? What have you seen?
No, and it's, and being my first year really as a coach, seeing the Sun Belt teams, because we didn't get to conference last year, so we didn't even get to see what it was like. And so I think this year's a little bit of an anomaly with the Sun Belt, but you have to take into effect that every team besides us has 7 to 12 fifth or sixth year seniors in it. And so I think that that's a little bit why everybody's beating up on each other, is because everybody is so talented. It's pretty much on par across the board in terms of talent level. And so then it becomes like, who's going to execute more? Who's going to want it more? And so, it's come down to, if you can stop the offense from scoring, the pitching has been the main overriding factor of those teams that are over 500. I think, and that they have the best pitching staffs. They have the best defense right now, as you kind of look across the spectrum of the Sun Belt. So we have a little bit of both for sure. And I think that as we get down the stretch, I think that our pitching and our defense is going to be where it's been all year, and hopefully in the top of the conference.
Yeah, we'll be keeping track of the Panthers as they roll through this portion of the year. All right, let's move on to the backdoor cut and things going on in the NBA and the playoffs, which have been very entertaining. Before we get to the actual X and O's of the NBA playoffs, it's been very fun seeing actual fans in the stands for these contests. It has been something that has been much wanted by everyone involved, just watching these games. And I respect to all of the teams, the administrators, the fans themselves getting vaccinated or being healthy, taking care of their end of things. Seeing the atmospheres in New York for the Knicks when they faced Atlanta, Phoenix when the Lakers and Suns played, just these incredible atmospheres of basketball that we are seeing from all of these fans being in attendance. Philadelphia playing Washington, even Brooklyn, even though it's a younger fan base, a little fickle. It was good seeing fans in the arena for the Nets. So I'm just very excited about all of that stuff. I think when you look at the playoffs, and I'll just give quick impressions of each of these contests. If you go to X's and O's of it, we'll be here for 3 hours. But I just want to give my quick impressions of where these series are. I think Milwaukee is really asserting themselves into the dominant team over Miami. That was a very close win on the first game one. It was 109 to 107. Chris Middleton with the three-pointer with about a second left to go in the contest proved to be the game winner for them. Last night, Milwaukee won 132 to 98. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think Miami has enough talent to win a game, but I think this ends in 5 in on a very quick way. I think Miami, if we're going to be competitive in the series, you had to win that first game. That did not happen, and now I think they're going to find a way to roll in that series. I think Brooklyn is the better team over the Nets. The Nets, in its margins, it's on 104 to 93. They won game one over Boston. But when you have multiple guys like Kyrie and Harden flirting with triple doubles and Durant, each of them scoring, I think, over 25, at least 20 points in the contest, they're going to be very, very tough to beat, especially in this series. But besides Jason Tatum, there's no major offensive threats for Boston. Now, Boston did get solid forms from Tatum. Reggie Williams had 9 blocks. He's not going to get 9 blocks in this next game. I think it'll be very, very tough for Boston to be competitive in it. Now, it's Brooklyn, and they like the coast, so it would not surprise me if Boston wins 1 game in this series, maybe even 2. But I think that's a very, very tough situation, for the Celtics. Philadelphia defeated Washington 125 to 118. Tobias Harris, 30-plus points in the contest. Very big performance from him. I think the Sixers are, once again, you look at that roster, and they're right up there. Now, Brooklyn has the best starting lineup, without question, especially because you have 3 of those guys, Harden, Durant, and Irving, all on the same roster, and they're playing together. That's a tremendous deal. But Philadelphia, you have Embiid, Ben Simmons, and if Harris, he's not going to score 30 points every contest, but if he can give you 20-plus points, that's a really nice squad. Curry is a good shooter on the outside for them as well. I think that's they should be right in that conversation for championship contention. I think Washington, they're just very limited. I mean, Westbrook and Beal are very, very good. But I think Westbrook, he produces a lot of points and numbers, but he also causes a lot of turnover. He turns the ball over himself. The usage rate isn't great. And Beal, I don't know if he's 100%, and he's just not right. But I don't think Washington has enough to win this series. Now, it would not surprise me in game 2 if Washington wins it, because I think that they still have enough talent to make it interesting. But overall, I think that's going to be a win by the Sixers. The Knicks and the Hawks, I said it at the very beginning when we did our previous show previewing the series. It's a coin flip because I look at it this way. I think the Hawks have the better roster, and the Knicks have the best player in the series and play better defense. So I think that, and yes, I know Trae Young hit the big shot, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I think if you're looking at the breakdown of it, you have the Hawks are a very talented team. Obviously, Trae Young hit, and we'll get to that. Let's get to the shot. I mean, if you watched it, very good situation for him. I like the fact that he drove to the basket, didn't settle for a long jumper. I mean, if Thibodeau is not going to double in that situation and get the ball out of his hands, take the player one on one down the into the lane and hit the runner. I thought that was a very good job by him. Big shots by Bogey, and Bogey was getting hurt on Atlanta Hawks Twitter because he was not having the best game. But he hit some big shots. John Collins had a very good first half, getting double-digit points. Lou Williams reached double-digit points in the third quarter. That was very big for him, big for the Hawks, getting those points off the bench. So you had all of the major players that you needed to for Atlanta, contributing. The Knicks got some very good play from from several players. Randall had his points. He did what he had to do. I thought that it was his game. It's weird because it's not like he's forcing a lot, but he hits a lot of shots that you look at that should not go in. He'll shoot 3-pointers, kind of leaning to the side, and it looks like it's a very awkward position, and it goes in. He dribbles the ball between his legs and tries to drive, and you figure, all right, he's going too slow. Someone's going to take the ball from him, but he's still able to find a way to get to the lane. So it was just a very interesting contest overall. I like the fact that we have an enemy in the contest with and Alex Burks. I was trying to remember his name, but I had to pull it up. Yeah, 27 points for Atlanta or for the Knicks in the contest. I don't know if he's going to be able to score 20 plus points, in the contest, but that's really the way that, and that was off the bench. That's really the way the Knicks are going to play. I think what they hope for. Randall, he had 15 points and 12 rebounds, which is solid. They want to get 20 plus points from Randall, and Barrett can hopefully get to 20 points. He had 14 in the contest, and everyone else chips in where they can, and they're just going to go on aggressiveness and defense and try to will their way to victories. While the Hawks just have more skilled players. Trae Young had 32 points and 10 assists for a double-double, had 7 rebounds as well. A very good performance from him. Bogdanovic had 18 points. Collins, as I mentioned, had the 12 and 7 rebounds. So they just, Clint Capella had 13 rebounds, as well. You look at that roster, the Hawks just have a better team, but the Knicks play hard and very aggressive. I have picked the Knicks in 6. I got to stick with it. But if Atlanta wins in 6, it wouldn't shock me as well. And then also with the Hawks fans, the complaining. Look, I know it's very, and living here for the past few years, at least for the Hawks side of things, I think the Hawks have been not downtrodden, because they've had playoff teams in the past. There's some franchises which have been really hurt over the past 10, 20 years. But they always feel like there's a conspiracy against them. And now that was illustrated as well with the Nate McMillan comment, about the NBA wanting to see the Knicks do well because it's New York and a big market and all that stuff. And which I don't believe at all. But I think that the fans, at least the ones on Twitter that I follow, are, and just the social media and then talking to people, they're very we get no foul calls. Why is this going on? Why is that going on? Why do they do, take a breath. And first of all, you have Trae Young, who, and I said, going back to Trae, and we'll move on to the other series. I like the fact that he is the villain. He's embracing it. He's not a rootable guy. He's a very good player. I should say he's not rootable. If you're from the outside in, I can see why people don't like him. He has a herky-jerky style. He does flop a bit. He's a small guy. He does look to draw fouls quite a bit. Even his look, that very small, lanky look by NBA standards, it's just, he's a guy that's very easy to, I'm saying out perception-wise, Trey's actually pretty easy to root for and is very good to the media and all that stuff to us. But I can see from being a opposing fan and seeing him, you really want to boo him. But the fact that he hit the big shot, he did the mouth gesture and said it's quiet as F in here. I like that. And that's what and having the fans there being against him, that's a good thing. That's an energy, that's needed, I think, with everything that's been going on. Now, is he going to be able to carry the Hawks to the series win? Maybe, maybe not. But it's good drama. It's good theater. So that's very cool to see. I look at the Western Conference, the LA teams. I still think the Clippers and the Lakers get through to the next round of the playoffs, but they're on notice in a major way. You look at the Lakers and the Suns. The Suns were able to win game 1, 99-100. I think that the fact that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are not 100% healthy puts them in a very vulnerable position. They've both been dealing with leg injuries the second half of the regular season. And they're not going to get better without rest. And you're in the middle of the playoffs, so you're not going to get that rest. The Suns the Suns were the second seed or the second best record in the West for a reason. Chris Paul, I know he hurt his shoulder in that contest, and I think he'll be able to play and be okay. I think he got the stinger, and he was hurting, and he had to finish that game out. I don't think you're going to see him taking those shot put jumpers and not be able to dribble the ball with his right hand in this contest. I think he'll be okay. Devin Booker has been an all-star, one of the better players in the league the past few years. He stepped up in his first playoff game, 30-plus points. DeAndre Ayton had a very big night, for the Suns, and that was much needed. 21 points, 16 rebounds, had more rebounds than James and Davis combined. That's a really, really good deal, for the Suns. And as I said, I still think the Lakers will find a way to win the series, but it just does not seem to be their year as far as championship aspirations go. And that sometimes happens. Injuries happen. And both of those guys are a year older, especially James. And this is a type of injury 10 years ago James probably would have been able to shake off and be able to continue to play at a all-time level that he has been, but he's in his late 30s now. This is what happens. And he's just trying to work through it. I think the Mavs, really good performance against the Clippers. I think LA, they're too cool for school. They're kind of like the Nets. But the problem is the Nets have 3 all-timers on their roster, and they can kind of find a way to coast through games. You look at the Clippers, they try to do the same thing. And yet you look at the numbers. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, 26 points, 10 rebounds. Paul George, 23 points, 6 rebounds himself. You had 4, 5 players in double figures, for the Clippers in the contest. But they just do not. And I know coming in, you look at the regular season, best 3-point shooting team in the league. They were very, very bad from the 3-point line. They only made 11 out of 43 pointers, 27% on threes. You look at the fact that they're supposed to be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. They allowed the Mavs to shoot 47% from 3-point line, hitting 17 3-pointers, and then the Mavs shot 50% from the field in the contest. So those two things that we were supposed to bank on all through the year for the Clippers, hitting 3-pointers and then defending, they failed on both of those accounts and allowed Doncic to get a triple-double once again. And he has triple-double almost every playoff game he's had against the Clippers in his career. That can't happen. So I think that the Clippers ultimately will find a way to win because they have more depth in their lineup. But the championship aspirations may be very limited and short, for the Clippers. I look at the Nuggets and the Trailblazers. Series is tied 1-1. You saw Portland step up in game 1, win 123-109. Denver rebounded and got a big win last night in game 2. And I think this series 128-109. I think the series, it ultimately comes down to it's gonna be 6-7 games. Both these teams are evenly matched in their own ways. I mean, look at last night. Dame Lillard, 42 points, 10 assists in the contest. And then you look at Jokic, who had 38 points and 8 rebounds and 5 assists. I mean, both those guys are kind of getting I'll say negate each other, but they'll kind of even each other out in their own ways. The question is, who's going to be the best of the secondary guys for Denver? Who's better, the Porter and Gordon and that combination, and their kind of ragtag group of guys in their lineup, or is it going to be for the Blazers, Nurkic at center, McCollum, maybe even Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench giving you some points, Norman Powell? Who's going to be the better of the secondary guys? I picked Denver before the series. I have to stick with that. But Portland can win the series just as well. I think, once again, that's a toss up. I could see anything happening there, in that series. So it's just a lot going on with that. Oh, and then finally we have the Jazz and the Grizzlies. Memphis, nice run here over the past few weeks. They're 9-1 in their last 10, and that includes the play-in games. Remember, they had to defeat San Antonio at home and win at Golden State in the play-in games just to make the playoffs. So they've been on a nice run. John Morant, tremendous performances by him. Game 2 is tomorrow, actually. But I think this one, I picked the Jazz to win the series. And I think having Donovan Mitchell, they need him back in a major way. It was weird that he was unable to play in Game 1, even though he was practicing 3 days before the series opener. Now, he missed the last month of the regular season due to the leg injury, and he's been trying to work his way back. He looked like he was cleared and ready to go for Game 1, and then the Jazz sat him. They lost the game. Mitchell was very upset about it, made it public. But now it looks like he's going to play in Game 2. I would normally say once you have that dissension, that's bad news for any championship aspirations. But we'll see what happens in that series. I still think Utah is the better team, especially if Mitchell can give them, solid contribution. I mean, he's their best player. I mean, no Gobert is multiple defensive player of the year and may win it again this year. But Mitchell is the guy who gets everything going, especially on the offensive end. If they could have him back, that'd be a very solid situation for them. So those are my thoughts on the NBA playoffs and everything going on there. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens over these next few days. All right, we'll wrap it up with the miscellaneous department. Awesome seeing Phil Mickelson win the PGA Championship. It was funny. I forgot which tournament it was. I was working a Kennesaw State game, and where I was sitting, they had the TV on, and I put it on the golf channel so that I can view. I think I was doing scoreboard for lacrosse, and they have a TV in there, and I like watching the golf in between the halves and during timeouts and downtime, just to keep the flow going. And I forgot. I don't think it was the Wells Fargo tournament. It was a tournament a few weeks ago, and Mickelson was in the lead during the first round. And I was thinking to myself, wow, that's good to see him at least being in contention and being viable. And the person who I was working next to, who follows golf more than me, says, "Oh, that's typical Phil." And he does well in like the first round or two, and he falls off. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I think he made the cut or barely made the cut, but didn't do much the rest of that tournament. He put it together all 4 rounds for this championship. Obviously, oldest man to win a major in history, at 50 years old. We know that story. I thought that going into the final round, into Sunday, he was up by 1 shot. I was concerned, and Koepka was 1 shot behind him. I was concerned because I thought Mickelson, you saw him spray his driver all over the place, and he may be, and I forgot which commentator said this on Golf Channel, he may be the best bad shot hitter in history of the game. Now, I'm not going to make that much of a conjecture or make that statement, but that's really his style of play. He's a great scrambler. You see the drives, he drives it far, but they go all over the place, and they go in the rough, they go behind trees and everything like that, yet he finds a way to make that second shot work and get in good situations. But I was thinking going into Sunday, I saw him spraying a lot of shots. His putting, especially in that third round, was not on point. And I was like, man, he doesn't have too many birdies left in him. While Koepka, only 1 shot behind, I thought had a lot more scoring opportunities. I thought that Phil would have a lot of pars and bogeys, and Koepka will find a way he'd have pars too, but we'll get some birdie situations, and that would be the difference in there. Phil held his own. He did well. He hit a really nice chip on the front nine. He chipped in the shot, and you just got the feeling that he was still spraying the ball a little bit. I think he had a bogey even in the front nine, but towards the middle of the round and in the end, he was able to sustain pars. And Koepka just was not able to get those scoring opportunities. He even dropped a few shots, during the contest. And towards the very end, we saw Mickelson be able to pull it out. And I put on Twitter, I'm a Tiger Woods supporter. I mean, I like Phil Mickelson too. I never hated him, but it's weird if you like Tiger Woods, it seemed like you're naturally not going to like Mickelson because it's that rivalry that people talk about, and obviously they're the two best golfers of their generation, and they compete. You look, they're in direct competition with each other. But seeing Mickelson, maybe part of it is Tiger. He had his moment with the PGA Championship or the Tour Championship in 2 years ago, and then the Masters in 2019. You saw his revival and his big moment of return to relevance on the golf course. You want to see Phil get some of that too. And this is a nice little feather in his cap that he's the oldest winner in history. And that's a mark that he's going to hold, probably for quite some time. So I think I don't know if it's a one up on Tiger in that regard in their quote unquote rivalry, but I think that's a good deal for him to have that mark. And you see the humility. I like the joke with the broadcaster about his gambling odds and things like that. Do a quick Google search of Phil Mickelson and gambling, and you'd find the funniness of it. As far as someone mentioning gambling and him, and his odds were very low to win it. I mean, just before the tournament even started, the PGA Championship, he needed an exemption to participate in this year's U.S. Open. So I mean, Mickelson has been low in the rankings over the past few years, but obviously with this win, it was a big moment for him. He's talking about physically and mentally strengthening himself to put himself in this type of position. I really enjoyed, and I will end on this with him. Look up his interview with Faraday it's from the Golf Channel, and he do these interviews, and I think it was a two-parter, but he describes his approach to a shot. And why you have guys like Koepka who are mad at the world, and Koepka, bad move by you, talking about the crowd of people that were behind you and Mickelson in that final hole. And if you're dealing with your knee injury and also don't play. If I have to hear about Koepka with this knee injury, we heard it with the Masters, now with this deal. Look, if your knee's not 100% and you're going to bitch and complain about, oh, I felt trampled and I felt knocks on my knee, yet you're still able to perform with golf, man up and stop complaining about the knee and how it's hurting you. Because it didn't hurt enough. No, it was healthy enough for you to finish second in a major tournament. Now, I'm sure if you won the major, you'd probably be limping up there with a cane and hobbling where you get some crutches while you're accepting the trophy. But since you came in second place, all of a sudden, my knee was dinged while the crowd was coming upon us. And yeah, there were a lot of people there, and you don't want to get trampled. He wasn't getting trampled. He'd be all right. But it's just that attitude of Koepka. That's why no one really cares. I mean, I say no one, but he's not very liked by casual fans like me. Him and DeChambeau have this attitude not welcoming. And I'm not saying that Phil Mickelson is a happy rainbow guy or happiness and joy all day, but just the approach is just better. But going back to Mickelson and what he was talking about, his approach to his shot and just the science of it and how he looks at the wind and the way the blades of grass, how the ball is sitting on it, and when he's putting and the angles, it's just done in a very interesting way that me as a layman can understand. While DeChambeau, he talks about it in like a condescending way that I'm the only one that can comprehend angles and comprehend the way the wind is going and everything like that. Like he's the only one that has figured it out or uses all of this stuff. And that's why he's a turnoff as well. with his approach to things. So that's why it's good to see Mickelson get the victory and put himself in a very nice position overall. All right, that concludes today's show. Thanks for listening to our broadcast. As always, you can head to thesportsinquirer.net for all of our news and notes. You can also go to our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then finally, go to our audio and video content providers, such as SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes, to get all of the latest that we have going on. Until next time, good fight, good night, and be safe.